Sorry, we're starting over. This is Jon Gilbert with East Carolina Athletics. You are experiencing social distancing, sponsored by Sutton. We have two turf experts with us today, both from Eastern North Carolina. First, we have Joey Perry. Joey is the Director of Athletic Grounds here at East Carolina. Joey, welcome to the show.
I appreciate you having me.
We also have today Brad Sutton, founder of Eastern Turf Maintenance, who is also Eastern Turf Maintenance is the official lawn care provider of East Carolina Athletics. Brad, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Brad, I know that Eastern Turf Management, you also have not only East Carolina Athletics, you have multiple universities in the North Carolina system, multiple high schools. Give us the story of how you got started.
Well, we got started about 20 years ago, and on the athletic field side, the first school I treated for athletic facilities when we started the business was East Carolina. Joey Perry had just gotten a job down there at East Carolina and needed a little help, and we're very fortunate to be able to go down there and help East Carolina. And Steve Logan was the coach at the time, and so that's how we got started in athletic fields, really.
Brad, during my research, I saw that you actually started your business out of your garage. What year was that? With you and your wife, Ann?
That was 2000, I believe.
2000. Yep.
Yeah. We started out of the garage up in Wake Forest. Sure did.
That's awesome. Joey, can't thank you enough for your dedication and what you do for our athletic fields. Give us an idea of the benefit of not having played spring sports. What do our fields look like now? And what are the benefits of not having played this spring?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, the benefits are we can get rid of the ryegrass that we usually play the spring sports on, which helps bring out the Bermuda, which we play the fall sports on. So right now I'm probably at least a month ahead of time on all the athletic fields, trying to get that grown in before our fall practices and season starts. So it actually, for cultural practices and all, it actually is a good thing for the fields.
Brad, I know your company, obviously, you do large projects like Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium and other colleges and universities in the North Carolina system, but you also do residential lawn care as well. Walk us through what the company does from the residential side.
On residential lawns, our primary services are fertilization, weed control, aeration and overseeding, and we also do tree and shrub care. So we basically do everything it takes to keep the lawn green and weed free. With Mother Nature's help.
Well, again, during my research, I saw, top dressing, weed control, laser grading, and then GMAX testing. Explain to me what GMAX testing is.
All right. Well, GMAX testing is something that's primarily done on an artificial surface, artificial playing surface. You've got a couple of them down there you use for practice. So what a GMAX test or a Clegg's impact tester is what we use. Basically, will tell you how hard the surface on a field is. And it's important to test artificial fields, especially GMAX test them or Clegg's test them to make sure they don't get too hard, because that can cause injuries for athletes, concussions. It's hard on the joints. And they do get hard over time, and even natural grass fields will get hard over time. So I've seen some natural grass fields that are as hard as artificial fields. So it's pretty much an industry standard. The NFL will test every field, artificial or natural grass, before they have a game on it, and they've got a certain parameters that you have to keep them within. So that's something we do for people with athletic fields. GMAX or Clegg's testing. Very important.
Joey, back to you. Give us an idea how you got started in this business and what drew you to the turf industry.
Well, I always tell my dad was on the board of the local recreation department, and I was playing there. And so I was best friends with the guy that was the president. And so I just started lining ball fields and cutting grass even at an early age. And I was outside from the time I was 5 years old working with Dad, following around. He was in the nursery business, so I always had an interest in that. And so then I went to NC State, and I just I knew I wanted to do something outside, so I got a job with the athletic department, and they hired me while I was still a student there because I guess I was a hard worker and did what they asked, and it just kind of fell into me loving. I love sports and loved athletics and loved being outside, and that's how I got it started in this business.
That's great. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Brad, for our listeners out today, what are a couple key pieces of action to have like a perfect type lawn?
Well, to have a perfect type lawn, the most important thing homeowners need to do is to keep up with their mowing. That's the most important thing for a homeowner's lawn, an athletic field, is proper mowing. And most lawns, if people have severe problems, a lot of times it's because they're not mowing correctly. They don't mow often enough. They mow too low. And then weed control is something we can help them with, obviously, and fertility. But mowing is the number one problem I've always seen with turf in my years, is proper mowing.
Joey or Brad, I know you work with a lot of turf care specialists. Every turf care person I've been around, they don't want anyone to actually play on the field. They just want it to look good. As you know, Joey's no different. Joey doesn't want anyone to play on the field. In fact, he's told all the birds that are around East Carolina University that they've got to wipe their feet before they actually walk on the grass. Joey, I want to know really what your pet peeves are as it relates to the grass.
Well, I mean, let's just be honest. All coaches are the same in generality. They're going to go, especially a football coach, they're going to go to the same spots every day, and they just stay in those same spots and not move around. So, they won't go to the other end of the field. They won't switch the drills around. That's probably the best pet peeve I have. That, and at baseball, is a assistant coach taking in and out before a game that doesn't know how to hit a fungo, and they start taking divots up, and it looks like a tee box. So that's probably my two biggest pet peeves.
Those are very good. I'm familiar with that. Brad, I need an answer to this because I've heard this argument multiple times on both sides. Do you keep the grass clippings or do you bag them up?
You recycle them into the ground.
So
you let them stay on the turf, and unless it's gotten really, really high and you're going to come in and mow it and leave like rows of hay on the grass, then I would tell you to bag it. But if you're mowing properly, which is never taking more than a third off of the leaf blade and on a regular basis, I think it's more beneficial to leave the clippings on the grass.
Yeah, good to know. Joey, I know you get a lot of advice from people about what you should do on the field. I know the athletic director from time to time has a tendency to give advice. What advice do you typically get when you hear somebody talk about the fields?
Well, I don't know that I accept any of it. I just act like I'm listening, and it goes in one end and out the other, and then I continue to do what I know works. But I listen, and I really listen when I'm talking to the players about the dirt. That's where I get a lot of input from the infielders and stuff. With grass, you just see if it's tearing up or something you can improve on. But the dirt is something you can really fine tune, and that's where I get a lot of input from coaches and players.
Brad, tell us what type of turf we have at Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium, and what time of year do we start overseeding with ryegrass?
Okay, you got a turf type hybrid 419 Bermuda. Joey, correct me if I'm wrong. It's been changed a couple times, but and usually they'll start overseeding in September, well before ryegrass is needed. But you got to start early if you want to have any chance of getting it established.
And explain like what it does when you put ryegrass on Bermuda, like that whole process.
You're putting ryegrass on Bermuda. There's two ways to do it. You can take some type of overseeder and run it over the field, and it creates a little bit of seed to soil contact, or you can just broadcast it. And for fall sports, I tell people you're really just trying to get color, because you're not going to – that ryegrass that's out there is really more or less for color in the fall. It may provide a little bit of help for the playing surface, but most of the time that Bermuda grass is thick enough to hold up through November. It just doesn't stay green. So in the fall, most of the time it's just for color.
Yeah. Joey, walk us through a game week at Dowdy-Ficklin of when you're painting and cutting.
Well, we generally cut, especially early in the season. Let's say in September, we're cutting at least 4 times that week. So on Monday, I'll come in and probably double cut and either blow the field off if it needs it or sweep it. And then Tuesday, we're making sure everything is still measured out right. Everything's ready to go. And then Wednesday, we start painting on Wednesday morning, and we paint all day Wednesday and all day Thursday. And we usually leave Friday for touching up things, going back over it mowing wise, if we have rain or whatever. It really depends on the weather. I mean, some weeks I can have to start on Monday and paint, and then try to get it over. But I generally like to paint Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Ideally, I'd rather paint on Thursday and Friday. Just depends on other teams working out or what we got planned for the game.
And then right after the game, I know you go through some things as well. Tell us what happens immediately following the game.
So immediately after a game, once everybody's cleared off, we help both teams get off the field. We pick up any trash, anything that's left. Once the TV trucks and people get all their cables and everything off, and then I'll actually start mowing the field and trying to get it ready for the next game. It's very important to clean the field up. So we'll mow it, we'll sweep it, and we'll blow it off, and get all the trash, all the excess clippings off, so we can, start planning for the next game.
Brad, final question. As the weather starts warming up here, I know we're going to start seeing crabgrass show up. How do you control that?
Well, crabgrass is best way to control it is a pre-emergent weed control, and that should be put down absolutely by this time right now and earlier. But crabgrass pre-emergent control is a big thing right now, and post-emergent weed control for other broadleafs.
So I need to be calling your company right now to come to the house and start taking care of that.
Absolutely.
Well, Brad, I want to tell you, we really appreciate the partnership. We appreciate your support. If you want your lawn to go and look like the grass at Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium, contact Eastern Turf Maintenance, and you'll get to look like Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium. Brad, I appreciate the partnership. Joey, thank you for everything that you do for the Pirates. I know you do a great job with all of our athletic fields, baseball, practice field, soccer, softball. I'm just amazed at how well they look, and appreciate what you do with us and for us. This is Jon Gilbert. You've been experiencing social distancing, sponsored by Sutton on behalf of Brad Sutton of Eastern Turf Maintenance, Joey Perry, head groundsman of East Carolina Athletics. I'm Jon Gilbert. Go Pirates.